guys, let me just turn this music off. Okay, I'm going to take these off too. They're way too glary. They're not actually real glasses. They're just, they are blue light blocking glasses. Okay, let me find where the chat is. Please say hello. I don't even know. Let me just check who's on here. Welcome to the Killing the Kitchen Time Suck Q&A. We've had a few questions sent through, and if you haven't sent a question through but you want to ask a question, just pop it in now. And let me see that everything is still good. Yes, it is. Beautiful. Okay, hi. I'm not sure who just said hi, but hi back. Can you please click the link that's in the description of this post? It should be streamyard.com/Facebook. And just click the one button that's going to give me permission to see your name, because I do love to know who I'm speaking with. Now, I've just realized I don't have my microphone plugged in, so let me just do that so my voice is not so grating on you. Where am I? Audio. That should be better. Can someone tell me if that audio is working okay? Okay. I'm hoping it is. All right, I was in such a rush tonight because of hashtag family life that I haven't even, I feel like I've just kind of rushed in without even checking that I looked okay. So excuse the hair. I jumped straight out of the shower and then did some prep. Let me just quickly put my hair up. Now, you guys, fantastic. Thank you for telling me that that's all working. Now, we have, like I said, quite a few questions come through, but before I get into them, I just want to let you know that we did send the ebook around. We've had lots of messages asking about the ebook. The ebook has been sent to your inbox if you provided your email address to us on Messenger. So hopefully you've got that. So after we finish the Q&A, you can go and check your inbox and it should be all there. Now, I'm going to give you just a little chance to pop any extra questions that you might have in the chat box while I get my screen set up with everyone's questions. Screen. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Sorry guys, 1 second. Here we go, that's what I want. All right, I'm ready. All right, welcome. All right, so we've sent you the ebook, and was there anything else you guys were waiting on? There was an announcement I wanted to make as well. So it's been a public holiday here in Queensland for Labor Day. I'm pretty sure it was only Queensland that has the public holiday. But because of that, I was with the kids most of the day, and so I didn't get quite done some things I needed to get done in order to close everything down at midnight tonight. So we're just going to do a bonus 24 hours. That means that doors to the No Fuss Nourished Method membership will actually close tomorrow night instead of tonight. And it's been so great to see people flowing through and joining the No Fuss Nourished membership, because it just makes my day. It makes my week when I get to support mums just like me who are they're either on struggle street and in the trenches with mothering and with getting their kids to eat well, or maybe they're doing okay, but they've got this niggly kind of feeling that the kids could be, better nourished, and are they really giving them the best start? So I just love to put mums' minds at ease and just give them their one next thing to do that helps them on their journey to, one, becoming really well nourished themselves, but also for their whole family. And, oh, sorry, I thought someone commented there. And so you can see in some of those statements that I've posted in the group today that the people who have been with us since the beginning, which was 8 months ago, our foundation members, They have just been loving the process. Like, there have been changes being made in families. The load has been lifted. Kids are eating more diverse foods. There have been measurable changes in these people's lives. And that just makes me super happy. So if you are keen to get some support, make sure you click through. I think I put a link in the description of this post above me, and you can do that until midnight tomorrow. And if you have any questions about the membership tonight, ask away. Now, in the meantime, let's scoot on over and answer some questions. Now, the first question is from Amy. See if I can bring this microphone a bit closer. The first question is from Amy, and she said, my kids love toast for brekkie, and it's quick and easy for school mornings, but I think I need to be getting more protein into them. We do use healthy baked sourdough, usually a whole grain croissant or spelt, and Maver's protein peanut butter with seeds added, but not sure it's enough. Ideas for something easy to add or other things we could have quickly, please. All right. Now, firstly, Amy, I just want to applaud you. I know that we have, I think I answered a couple of, maybe just one of your questions before, and I feel like I'm getting to know you a little bit. And even just based on that question that you asked, honestly, I think you're doing amazing. You should be applauded for the changes that you've already put in place. Like, one, switching from a white bread to a whole grain bread is massive improvements, like leaps and bounds. I cannot stress that enough. Having a whole grain bread as opposed to a white bread is huge. One, you've got extra vitamins and minerals. Two, you've got heaps more fiber. Fiber is huge. It's one of the power plays that we talk about within the No Fuss Nourish membership because of the enormity of benefit that that will give your child. Now, the second wonderful thing that you've done is actually choose a croissant or a spelt. It's what they are, what you call an ancient grain. The ancient grains are not hybridized like how modern wheat is. Our modern wheat is barely recognizable to the wheat that we had 100 years ago. And so we're getting a much more pure product, a much more pure plant, I should say, into our bodies, which is definitely beneficial. So I think you're doing great. Also, you've switched from a regular peanut butter to the Maver's 100% peanut butter with, I think it's hemp seeds that they add for the Maver's protein peanut butter. So I think you're doing great. Now, number one thing that you could do is, and we did cover this in the No Fuss Nourish boot camp some time ago, almost a year ago now that you guys were part of that, if you were. The number one thing that I would do now is to switch to an organic bread if you can. And they're actually not more expensive than the one that you're already buying. You can buy one at Woolies for like $5. You can also get sourdough organic at a health food store for an extra $2, perhaps something like that. And so the reason that we want to do that is because we want to avoid glyphosate, which is in that non-organic grains. Like, it's not just wheat, it's oats and corn and lentils, flax, potatoes, the list goes on. It's kind of everywhere in our day and age. That glyphosate can cause all sorts of things that we're not going to get too bogged down in today, but just real briefly, mineral deficiencies. It can kill both the good and bad bacteria in our gut. The reason being is that glyphosate was actually first used as an antibiotic. And so, of course, it's going to kill our bacteria. That's what it was kind of designed to do, but it doesn't distinguish between good and bad bacteria. And as we know, we want our kids to have this huge, beautiful collection and community of a diverse range of gut microbes. And not only does it kill off the good and bad gut microbes, but it also, studies have shown that it actually it reduces the diversity of the types of gut microbes that we have. In addition to that, it has been shown to cause behavioral changes, emotional changes, etc., etc. So change that bread to organic if you can. If you've got access to one, that's fantastic. But in answer to your question about what can you add to what you're already doing or diversify as an alternative, firstly, if we can talk about what you could possibly add to what you're doing with the peanut butter toast, is perhaps talk to your child about having a slice of peanut butter toast and a slice of something else. One of the best tips I can give mums or dads, I should say parents, it's just that 100% really of the people who approach me for coaching are all mums. So I end up saying mums, but I should say parents, because I would love it if a dad approached me for coaching. But one of the things that you can do, the best tip I can give you, for getting your child to accept a new food is to always pair it with something they're familiar with and something that they love already. So if your child loves peanut butter toast already, give them a slice of peanut butter toast and a slice of something else toast. Now, something else could be avocado, tomato, a little squeeze of lemon and salt. Oh, it's delicious. My kids devour that and love it. It is a little bit of extra effort, of course, because you're having to slice the tomato and get the avocado out. But if you've got a second to do that, that is a beautiful option to give them. They're getting lots of good fats through the avocado, and it's a really good way to go. The other thing that is a wonderful alternative to peanut butter is miso paste. Again, I feel like we're kind of rehashing a little bit of the No Fuss Nourish boot camp here, but we did talk about spreads there. So miso paste is a wonderful alternative to Vegemite. So if your child loves Vegemite, do give miso paste a go. It is, I know it's going to sound gross, you might get turned off, but it's a fermented soybean paste, but it tastes just like Vegemite. And it's obviously a probiotic food. It's going to add additional beneficial bugs into your child's gut microbiome. And that is what we want. You can try half-half Vegemite miso paste until they're used to it. You can put it in the Vegemite jar so they can see you spreading Vegemite onto their toast, whatever it takes. In addition to those ideas, almond butter would also be something to try. My kids are not big fans of almond butter. However, again, you could try the trick of mixing 50-50 peanut butter with almond butter or switch it into the peanut butter jar. But there's some options for you. One thing that I will say is that scrambled eggs on toast is a wonderful meal. As Jessica Donovan of Natural Super Kids, she's a naturopath over there, she has always said, if you have an egg, you have a meal. In the ebook that I've sent you, I've actually detailed the huge benefits to egg. Like there's so much in an egg. And so if you can whisk up 2 eggs, put it in the fry pan. By itself is fine with a little bit of salt. But what I love to do to boost it even further is to put a little bit of chicken broth paste in there. I buy the Urban Forager brand. It tastes insane. It is the only brand that I enjoy eating and consuming. So I'll put a little bit of that in. Or in addition, you could also do turmeric powder. I routinely will put turmeric powder in the eggs because it's already yellow. They're not going to notice the color difference, but it's incredibly anti-inflammatory. Turmeric is wonderful for us for many reasons. I also put some Doll's Flakes powder in there. So what you can actually do is start to mix up, like just a premix for your scrambled eggs. Put some turmeric powder, some Doll's Flakes, some sea salt, and then all you have to do is just put a teaspoon in every time you make scrambled eggs. And you can put that on the toast as the alternative or the addition to the peanut butter toast. Now, if we're talking breakfast that's not toast, excuse me, my voice has gone quite croaky tonight. If you are wanting to put something on the side, so again, keep 1 or half a slice of peanut butter toast on the plate, but then also add some stuff to the side, like add a little piece of their favorite fruit and a vegetable. Whether it's like my kid's favorite veggie is cucumber, so I can always get away with adding a whole bunch of cucumber on the side of their brekkie. My kids also have totally gone off veggie sticks in their lunchbox, which they used to accept, but now they will not. And so I'm like, well, okay, if you're not going to have it in your lunchbox, let's just bookend the day. We talk about this in the No Fuss Nourish membership. If your school lunchbox is not a place where your kids are eating a lot of goodness, just focus on bookending the day, which means having a really great solid breakfast and also afternoon tea. And you don't have to stress so much about the lunchbox. We do give plenty of strategy and tips for the lunchbox, but inevitably your child will probably go through a little stage in life where they just won't accept much in their lunchbox. And I can speak from personal experience, having 5 kids. Our 3 eldest in high school, they love having like leftover dinner for lunch. So I will routinely have like brown rice and baked veggies and a bit of roast chicken in a thermos in their lunchbox, they will love it. But the little two primary schoolers won't touch it. And so I have to focus on breakfast and afternoon tea for them. And it takes the pressure off. And I know that they'll come around just like the other guys did. We don't have to stress so much. We just need to do what we can. So put some veggie sticks on the side next to the toast. If start with their favorites and always pair it with something they love, like their favorite fruit. Now, alternatives entirely to toast. You know that I'm the smoothie queen. Like I cannot think of a breakfast option that gives you more vegetables, more opportunities for good fats, more opportunities for protein. There's just nothing that I can think of that will deliver the huge bounty of goodness that a smoothie can, that's so quick and so easy and so tasty. So my kids will regularly get a smoothie for breakfast, and there is an ebook at stacksmoothie.co that you can purchase. It's pretty low cost, or you get it free with a smoothie booster that will actually give you everything you need to know about making a supercharged smoothie that is just packed full of goodness. So that is definitely a high recommendation. Alternatively, you can have porridge with a side of half a slice of toast or whatever you want to do, or oats. I am surprised how many people haven't tried in summer as an alternative to porridge, just plain raw oats with a bit of cinnamon, some frozen raspberries, and some milk. If your kids are open to it, putting some seeds or the porridge booster in there is extra bonus points as well. Otherwise, there's pancakes. Now, to make a boosted pancake, you can basically just take your regular pancake recipe, which is pretty much 1 cup of flour, 1 egg, 1 cup of milk, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. That's the formula for pancakes that I typically follow, right? But instead of having 100% of your regular flour, take out half of that and replace it with whatever flours you have in your cupboard, whether it be chickpea flour, spelt flour, buckwheat flour, almond meal, any of those combined, or green banana flour, whatever it is that carries so much extra goodness and diversity, because we know that diversity is the #1 indicator for robust gut health, which controls both of our body and mind. So we want to shoot for diversity. And doing that in our baking, whether it be pancakes or waffles or muffins, cakes, whatever, it just makes for a really easy, no-fuss way to go about it. You can make a premix of that diverse flour, and then all you have to do is grab half a cup of your regular flour, whatever you use, and then half a cup of your diverse flour to make your pancakes. So that's what I call a boosted pancake, and we do offer a done-for-you version at stackedblends.co, of course. So look, Amy, I hope that gives you some food for thought for your child. Is it your son? I'm sorry, it's just kids. Yeah, I hope that gives you some food for thought for your kids. And like I said, I think you're doing amazing already. And let's just focus on that one little thing. So of all the things that I've just given you, just choose one and just give it a whirl this week. And then I would love for you to shoot me a message on Messenger and tell me how it goes. Okay, give me a little drink first. All right, the next question is from Amy Giletti. Now, I'm just going to make sure that I'm still all good. Sorry, guys, give me a second. Okay, now the next question is from Amy Giletti. Amy said, I've found that my 6-year-old simply won't eat what I give him, no matter what I do. Help, please. So, Amy, what I want to, I would love to pick your brain a bit more, to get a bit more detail about what that situation looks like, what potentially has caused it, what's the dynamic, etc., etc. But without knowing any of that, without being able to do that like we do in the No Fuss Nourish membership, this is what I would say to you. My assumption is that perhaps the food culture in your home has taken a turn for the worse. And that is so easy to happen. Oh, you're welcome, Amy. I cannot stress that enough, that it's so easy for us parents to default to negativity and to pressure and to really shift that food culture in our home from a light, like ideally we want a light food culture, to one that feels pressured and heavy and charged. Charged is probably a good word that I'd describe it with. So, what I want to suggest is that you build a new food culture. And what that looks like is backing right off. And I know that might not be what you expect me to say, but it's really important that we lighten things up in our home. If we want our kids to improve what they're eating, if we want them to say yes to the things we're suggesting, putting pressure on them, giving them consequences, even bribing them, like it's all a form of pressure, and the lightness in the home goes right down, especially if we lose the plot, which I have absolutely done many times in the past. Like I'm like, you're going to sit at the table until you've finished your dinner, even if you fall asleep at the table. Like I've been there. Like I know it's so easy to get there. But what I want to say is to pick yourself back up the next day and try again. That's all you can do, is pick yourself back up again the next day and try again. And what I want you to do is, once you've lightened things up and the pressure's gone, and there's ways that I can teach you to do that within the membership. But then I want you to identify where your child's comfort zone is with food. What are they comfortable eating? What are they not comfortable with eating? And I want you to just go to their comfort zone for like a week, just their comfort zone. And then I want you to shuffle them just that little bit. We talk about shuffling inside the No Fuss fam. Shuffling is basically it's kind of like picturing your kids at the end of the hallway in their slippers and their dressing gown, and they're kind of just like half asleep, sucking their thumb, and they're just kind of shuffling down the hallway. Like they're relaxed, they're not asleep, but they're just kind of slowly moving along. They're not causing a fuss. Probably didn't explain that very well, but you know what I mean. We're just outside the comfort zone. Like we're not uncomfortable, but we're just outside the comfort zone. So what I want you to do then is choose a new food, maybe get them to choose a new food if you think that's going to fly, and then say to them, hey, Mary, the name Mary is popping to mind, but I don't think there are many kids called Mary these days, but hey, Mary, would you like to experiment with this food? And you can choose from any of the 5 senses. Smell, sight, touch, taste, sound is the other one, isn't it? But any exposure to those 5 senses is going to desensitize your child. Every child has an exposure bucket, is what we like to call it. It could be your child might need 10 exposures to a food before they'll accept it. Some kids or some foods will need up to 100 or more exposures before they'll accept it. But the good news is that they don't have that. That doesn't have to be 100 times eating a food. It can just be that many times being exposed to the food, seeing it, smelling it, touching it. So choose something that's just beyond their comfort zone. If they're happy to pick up the zucchini and they're happy to pass it to you, they're happy to chop it up, they're happy to smell it, maybe they're happy to rub it between their fingers, the next step would be to lick it or to put it in their mouth and spit it out again. That is something worth celebrating. And when we're talking about lightening the food culture in your home, you want to celebrate every successful exposure. Every time that your child puts something in their mouth, tries it, and then spits it out again, you want to celebrate that and go, hey, good job, high five, and just keep it light. Don't dwell on it too long. Just keep moving on and just go, hey, like maybe we'll try this next time or whatever. Make it a game. Make it a fun challenge that has zero pressure attached to it, and you will be amazed at what progress your child can make. For a more detailed explanation of the principles and the strategies, and even a real life example of that, inside the No Fuss Nourish membership, there is a module called Bye Bye Food Refusal. And it's basically a video diary of me and our good friend, Gabby, who's 5. She has autism and all these food sensory challenges. And we spent 12 days together. And I basically documented everything I did and the progress that she made, where she came to me only basically exclusively eating hyper-processed foods and left with this willingness to, like, she was asking me, like, we went out for sushi and she just had plain rice, which was actually a huge win in and of itself. But then the next time we went, I was eating a seaweed salad. She said, can I try that? Because she knew that I was not going to make her swallow it. I was not going to make her eat the whole thing. It was just like a fun experiment. She was like, yeah, sure. And then she backed out. But do you know what? She tried so many things while she was with me that it was just incredible. Her mum couldn't believe it. So if you want a more detailed explanation, you can either get that module separately to the membership, or you can just jump into the membership and access it that way. So Amy, I hope that was helpful. Now, Monica Halloran. Hello, Monica. Monica's been around the Whole Food Collective for a really long time, and it's really nice to see her name pop up. Now, Monica, I'm going to add your picture to the screen here. Okay. Monica's question was this. There we go. Hi, Laini. Do you know if these are better than the fresh spinach loose leaves which have been washed in chlorine? Okay, so here's my question. Here's my answer. I couldn't find anything online about whether this particular brand of frozen spinach and kale have been washed first or not. However, it's pretty common practice for basically any food manufacturer, especially in a large retail chain like Woolies, where you would have bought these, to dunk the green leaves in a chlorine mix, like you've said, to take all the dirt and bacteria and things off. So it's very common practice for that to happen. However, I guess there's two things at play here. One is the chlorine wash, and the second is the modified atmosphere in which all of these greens are bagged in. So basically, you know, where you get your fresh loose leaf spinach, your fresh loose leaf kale, and you buy them at Woolies in a bag, right? Or Coles, wherever you go. All of those greens have been packaged in what they call a modified atmosphere. And this basically just keeps it fresh. Like, it's going to keep it fresh for up to a week, whereas the loose leaf is fresh for up to a couple of days. And so it buys them some shelf time for the greens, and you won't notice the degradation. Like, you won't notice the time lapse it's been since picking. And I guess an example of that is that there was a big hoo-ha fairly recently about red meat being packaged with, it wasn't actually the same gas. I think it was carbon dioxide. What was it? I think it was, do I have it here? Did I keep it? Maybe I didn't keep it on my notes. Yeah. Anyway, there was big hoo-ha about red meat being packaged this way because you can't see the spoilage. It's not fresh, but it looks like it, right? So it's a similar principle at play to that fresh bagged greens. So the mixed, or the modified atmosphere is basically a mix of pure oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. Now, all the information I can find online about it says that it's actually quite safe. So then comes your question about the chlorine. And so, you know, when it says pre-washed, it's nice to think that something that's pre-washed is done exactly as you would at home, right? It's just a quick rinse under the tap for a couple of seconds. But the reality is that those factories do dunk them in this industrial bath of water mixed with chlorine that isn't changed for hours. So my advice is, after that big gas bag full of details about the spinach and the kale, is that I would suggest, if you really want to avoid the modified atmosphere packaging and the chlorine wash, which, look, in the grand scheme of things, if we're talking about and comparing those two things to lots of the additives and the glyphosate and all those things, I actually think it's not as bad. Like, if you're gonna sacrifice somewhere, I would sacrifice on those two things. It's not going to be the make or break. It's not a perfect food solution, but it's really good. So I wouldn't sort of stop eating the frozen kale and frozen spinach because of it. I would eat it regardless. But if you can, go to your farmer's market, buy your organic fresh kale or your organic fresh spinach, loose leaf, and freeze it. That's what I do. So I go and get a fresh bunch of kale most weeks, and when I get home, I just hold the stem and I put my fingers on the base and I just kind of go up the stem, kind of pressing it with my fingers. All the leaves come off so you don't get the stem You just put it in like a freezer bag and in the freezer, and you're done. So that would be my suggestion as the perfect or the best scenario. But what you've got there is a pretty good solution, and I wouldn't lose any sleep over it, is my answer. On another note, though, I did find a little note that was talking about how fresh spinach in transportation, if it's then in your fridge for a week as well, the folate content drops so much that frozen spinach actually becomes the better source of folate. So it's interesting little note. So it's a little bit of give and take. It's kind of like, buy the bagged frozen spinach one week and go to the market and buy some fresh stuff the next. Like, it's not the make or break. So look, long story short, I hope that clarifies something rather than makes it more muddled for you, Monica. Alrighty. Keep needing drinks. Now, Emma Phillips, your question is, what's your number one tip for improving the dynamic in our home? I have a toddler, tween, and teen, and I've been trying hard, but they're so negative about food that I just want to throw the towel in. Oh, gosh, Emma. I think so many of us have felt that way at some point or another. And look, I do hope that time-wise, the Killing the Kitchen Time Psych training session was useful for you, and that might actually help you pick that towel back up again. But in terms of the dynamic, like that negative, like kick against the pricks attitude that you can get from your kids around healthy food, and like you slave around these dinners to feed them and then they just throw it in your face, and like it really can be exhausting and very what's the word, you can feel like you want to throw the towel in. I understand that feeling. So here's what I want to say to you. In addition to the comments that we already spoke about with Amy, the second question earlier, which was all about how to lighten the food culture in your home. Number one, I would suggest that you definitely want to do that. So go back and watch Amy's answer about lightening the food culture. But also, there's a saying I like to say, connection before coercion. And it's a bit of a spin-off of what Dr. Justin Coulson talks about, where he talks about connection before correction. And what I want to talk about that is that if we are trying to coerce our kids to eat well, to eat particular foods and to look after themselves and to avoid the crap that's in the other food that they could choose, it's not going to land unless they feel connected with us. It's basic parenting science that I've read in many, many different parenting expert books, is that if we want our kids to listen to us, we need to have a connection with them. I remember a one-on-one coaching call I had with a beautiful mum who was really at a loss with her teenage daughter. Their relationship had gone so far down that it was like she couldn't even reach her anymore. Like, she was barely at home. She would never eat at home. And she had all these health issues that her mum wanted to help her with. She knew that food was going to be a very strong contributor to her daughter's mental health and physical health improving. And kudos to her for knowing that and wanting to help her daughter through that. However, there was no point. Look, I basically just said to her, just don't even touch the food for now. Spend the next month or 2 months even just focusing on connecting with your daughter. That's what your daughter needs, and you are not going to have any success with food changes unless she's connected with you. My friend, Dr. Justin Coulson of Happy Families, says that children resist us when they feel controlled. And that's why I harp on about losing the pressure, losing the control, embracing the lightness and the connection. Because when we can do that, it brings back the joy, it brings back the fun, it brings back the spark of being alive and being a family. We have to remember, like, how awesome is it that we get to be a family, that we get to spend this time together, that you even have the ability to buy nourishing food for your family, and you've got a little bit of time to prepare it for them. Like, that is insane. Like, how much more fortunate are we than the majority of the population? So let's just drop the negativity, embrace the lightness. And we might be doing our best to model, great eating by like having our broccoli and our whole grains. But if we're stressy and heavy, why would our kids want to be like us? They're only going to want to be like us if we're actually happy. And, or at least we don't have to be happy, toxic positivity all the time. But what I'm saying is that just embrace some lightness and let go of the heaviness. Now, here's some more from Dr. Justin Coulson. He says, we often believe that if we control our kids' eating, they will become less fussy. And this is rarely true. Our children resist us when they feel controlled and usually become more fussy and hard to handle. So try to remember that. I know it can be hard when you're in the moment, when you're tired, you've put the effort in and you're worried about your child's development and they're still not eating. It can be very easy to go downhill and get pretty negative. But try to remember. And then, like I said before, if you fail, it's okay. We're all human. Just pick yourself back up again tomorrow and try again. So I might actually just skip. I can see it's 8:40 already. I was going to give you some examples, but there's plenty of examples in the membership, just in the interest of time. So the next question is, okay, Megan. Is it Garner? No, it's not. I think that was a typo. Megan, I'll find out from the original message that you sent me, Megan. But Megan said, I'm interested in joining the No Fuss Nourished Method membership, but I'm not on Facebook. Is that going to be a problem? Megan, it's definitely not a problem. What we do is we send you your one next right thing to do on Messenger. But we're also going to do email for those people who don't have Messenger. And it gets loaded up to an app called Kajabi. So you don't have to be on any social media to access the content whatsoever or get notifications about it either. We do have a Facebook group, and in there we do the live Q&As, but then they get loaded back up again to Kajabi. That's where we do the hot seat coaching as well, where people send in their anonymous personal situations where they want some advice, or it doesn't have to be anonymous, of course. But it's where I can connect with them, but it also just gets loaded up to Kajabi. If enough people join that aren't on Facebook, then we can consider shifting it to something like, what's that alternative? Mighty Networks is one that I've heard of that's quite good too. So no, not being on Facebook is not an issue. The next question was from Donna McCarthy. Donna, okay, you're also interested in joining the membership, but you think your kids just won't change. I just want to call, in the most loving way possible, I just want to call baloney on that, okay? Because, and bear with me, because I think you're doing amazing, because I can tell that you want to make positive changes, but you can feel some real hesitation from your children, and I get that. But every single child can progress their eating. I don't care whether they have autism, whether there's food sensory issues, whether they're just angsty and attitudey. There is no issue that we cannot overcome when it comes to improving what our kids eat, and therefore improving their gut, and therefore improving their experience of life now and decades into the future. I'm so passionate about this, that it's about training you as the parent more than anything. It's not about training the kids so much. We can educate them, we can do fun little things with them, but really at the end of the day, I would say that 90% of the chance of success of your child actually embracing the food that's going to be health giving for them, it's actually on the parent. And so that's why I love supporting parents so much. It's not, we say that, most of the mums join for their kids, but ultimately I kind of love supporting the parent even more, because one, when you are feeling well, you lead well, and it's all about the leadership within the home. And also it's about how good you feel. If you're feeling crappy, if you're feeling tired and sluggish, it's going to be an uphill battle for you to make the changes required and to lead in the way you need to lead to get your kids doing the opposite of what you're doing. You know what I mean? So in the most loving way possible, yes, your child can absolutely change. And I'm so willing to coach and teach you how to make that happen, because you've got the power to do it. Okay. The next question is from, let me just scroll down, Belinda. Belinda Kapathicus. Now, Belinda, I know you've been in our community for a long time, but I've never had to say your surname out loud, so I'm sorry that if I just butchered that surname. Okay, so Belinda, your question is this. Hey, Laini, not sure if this is something you can help with. Oh, hang on, what am I doing? I've still got this thing on my screen. Let's remove that. That's better. Oops. Okay, I'm not sure if this is something you can help with, but my beautiful tween wants a spray deodorant. Are there any tween-friendly or appealing options out there that aren't hefty in the fragrance department? Belinda, you are speaking my language. I've got now 3 daughters who have all begged for that aerosol deodorant. One of them actually bought it with her own money because I refused to, but there are there's some really good pump options available. I'm yet to find a spray, like an aerosol can, that is quality, partly because of the nature of an aerosol can is that there's just a lot of crap that comes out when you spray it. But it's just the nature of making it able to be sprayed. It's a long story, but there are lots of pump options, and my girls have eventually been willing to accept the pump spray deodorant. There's a few different brands. At your supermarket, you can find the Sukin brand. I find that to be the most accessible, most affordable, good quality skincare range that's available. It's Sukin. I know it's available at Woolies. I don't know about Coles. But yeah, Sukin is a pretty good option. Woolies used to do a purple option, like I can't remember the name of it, and I couldn't find it on their website anymore. So I don't know if they've discontinued it, but that one was better than the majority of commercially available deodorants, but it wasn't perfect, but it was heaps better. It was a purple one. I think it was Redken, but there's Sukin would be number 1. You got another option at Woolies is that purple one, but also if you go onto the website called nourishedlife.com, perhaps .au as well, they've got a plethora of great deodorants out there. I personally use like a paste. It's like a roll-on. It's not a paste you've got to use with your fingers. It does come in like a little canister that you take the top off and then you kind of spin the bottom and it comes up and it's a paste, and just use it like you would a roll-on. And it's called Noosa Basics is the brand, and I personally really like that one. And the kids will use it in a pinch, but they do prefer the pump bottles. So Belinda, I hope that helps. It's not my area of expertise, but having 3 daughters, I've kind of found a few things that work. All right. Look, there's one more question, you guys, and it's actually one that was asked recently in the No Fuss Nourish membership Q&A, so it kind of made it easy for me. But someone wanted more information. Sorry, let me get the name. I won't say someone. The name, gosh, my scrolling is terrible today. Why do I have Meghan Markle written as the name? Maybe my kids are playing a trick on me, because I did get my daughter to finish off the ebook earlier. All right, I'll have to find out your name. I can't believe they did that to me. Wanted to know more information about toning the vagus nerve. Now, for those who don't know, the vagus nerve is the main nerve of your parasympathetic nervous system. It basically controls body functions like your digestion, your heart rate, your immune system, and it's all involuntary. Like you cannot control it. You can't decide to do anything different with it. If you have poor vagal tone, as they say, you can get bloating, tummy pain, reflux. You can have changes to your heart rate, blood pressure or blood sugar. Difficulty swallowing or having that gag reflex is often another symptom of it. Dizziness, fainting, hoarseness of throat. You might think I've got one tonight with my throat, my voice. Wheezing or loss of voice as well. So there's some of the symptoms of it. There are 2 main causes for vagal nerve dysfunction or low tone, as they say. One of the reasons is a previous infection or inflammation, but even just physical or psychological stress. Like stress, I cannot stress this enough about stress, is that on a biological, biochemical level and a hormonal level, like stress is the death of us. I have had a very personal relationship with stress, and you might have heard my story before, but I've had a very real and fairly new appreciation for stress and the importance of decreasing it and avoiding it. We can't avoid it, but decreasing it in our life. Stress is one of the causes for poor vagal tone. So some of the very easy, kind of fun ways that we can strengthen that vagal tone is by just using our breath differently. I remember going to a personal trainer some years ago, and he was quite a natural holistic trainer, and he was doing a bit of an assessment on me at the very start, and he said, okay, just want to notice how you breathe, just breathe for me. And I was just breathing. He's like, no, breathe for me. I'm like, I am breathing. It's like, are you kidding me? That's how you breathe. I had never been taught to breathe properly, to fill my lungs up, diaphragmatic breathing. Anyway, what you want to do is aim for 6 breaths a minute. Just slow it down as much as you possibly can. Slow that breath, nice big deep breaths. That's going to improve your vagal tone. Like I coached during the Killing the Kitchen Time Suck training, the best way to change your habits is through a concept called habit stacking, right? James Cleary coined that term. It's basically just attaching a new habit to an existing habit, so it triggers us to actually do the new habit, and we get a much higher chance of actually achieving that new thing we want to do. And so with breathing, when I was working on that, I used driving the car as my trigger. I get in and out of that car so many times in one day, it's ridiculous. I feel like a full-time taxi driver half the time with all my kids. So I use driving as my trigger to focus on my breath. And it has worked really well for me. So find a trigger of something that you do multiple times a day, minimum of 10 minutes, where you just can really get in the habit and the rhythm of focusing on that breath. Now, exhale longer than you inhale. That's going to slow it right down too. It's actually the only scientifically proven way to reduce anxiety is to actually increase the length of our exhale. So apart from breathing, some of the other ways that we can improve our vagal tone are fun things like humming, laughing, singing, gargling. All those things improve the vagal tone. So go to town, have fun with it. Make it a challenge for your kids every night when they brush their teeth to gargle or hum or sing in the car or have laughing contests. I've heard of, what is it called? Laughing yoga is really fun as well. So what I will do when I'm finished this live Q&A, I will update the description of this post with any supporting links to things I've spoken about. And one of those things will be a video on how you can actually test your vagal tone at home simply by looking in the mirror and doing a little silly something. It's just such an easy way that you can test how your vagal tone is going. And I'll give you a little article on more information about the vagal tone. So Megan Markle, whoever you are, I hope that helps. That brings us to the end of our questions, but hold on. I see a question from Amy. Amy, I don't know if you're still there, but here's your question. She says, I actually have a question about these products. I sometimes buy them to throw in my smoothie. Oh, okay. So she's talking about the frozen organic spinach and kale. But noticed it says on the package that product must be cooked before consumption. Is this really necessary? It's easy sometimes when fridge space and my capacity to get things done is low. Hi, Amy. Amy, that's an interesting thing. I've actually not noticed that on a packet before, and I would love to actually do a little bit of research on that before giving you an answer. I'm not one to sort of throw things out that I don't know about. One of the reasons might be a good sign. It might actually be a good sign. My guess is that perhaps it hasn't actually had a chlorine dunk and therefore hasn't killed off the bacteria. So what they're suggesting is you cook it first to kill the bacteria and therefore make it safer to eat. That's why they do the chlorine wash, is to kill that bacteria. So look, I think my assumption is that that's probably a good sign and it might be a good quality. Can I ask, is it an organic one? Because if it's an organic one, perhaps they've taken an extra measure to make sure it's not chlorine dunked, I should say. But yeah, that could be a good thing. But what I would do is I would actually just email the manufacturer or the retailer. And if it's something that you buy on the regular, like every week you're getting this thing and you're regularly using it, then it's probably worth a couple of minutes of your time just to shoot an email off and ask. Usually they're okay about answering questions if it's not IP. Questions about ingredients can often be a lot harder to get out of these companies, but a question like that might be okay. And I can see that you've answered yes, it is organic. So yeah, I don't know. I would say that might be a good thing. I'd be interested to hear what you hear back from the retailer or the manufacturer. So guys, that is the end of our session tonight. And I'm so happy to say again that I have extended the deadline to join No Fuss Nourish Method membership. It is just such a beautiful community and I love to support mums just like you in there every single week. We get to talk about all sorts of things, many of which we've spoken about tonight, but there's much more as well. And we go into greater depth. We give you nice, clear downloadables to follow, an ebook with all the summaries of everything in there so that it's just easy to glance at and have a look at. We also do hot seat Q&As and coaching. So if you have your personal questions that aren't covered in the general content, then we can delve into that for you as well. In addition to that, something that I've just brought in this week is an exclusive recipe website. And in that recipe website, there's going to be exclusive recipes that are just targeted for, I guess, the benefit of your kids, in that it's easy recipes that are boosted on the sly. You know, like it's recipes that you can give them that they'll likely accept. I'm ditching all the recipes that are a little bit half-half, you know, like some people liked them, some people didn't, based on the reviews, etc. I'm ditching the ones that were not so popular, and I'm just keeping the die-hard favorites that are really highly attuned and targeted to helping with the goals of the mums in the group. So I think that's going to be a really fantastic resource for members. Okay, guys, check your email inbox for your 2 ebooks that I've given you. One is Killing the Kitchen Time Suck ebook, which is a summary of the training, kind of, mostly, as well as those emergency dinners. My family's favorite go-to emergency dinners, which is when you come through the door and it's like 5 minutes before bedtime and you have to feed your kids and you have nothing, no ideas. You've got like nada. And that's probably where you'd get a drive-through solution, perhaps, or something that's subpar. But these recipes are rock solid, nutritious, but lightning fast. So have a look, check that out. And you can also substitute a lot of those for the yo-yo nights, the you're on your own nights that we spoke about, where it's just everyone fends for themselves if they're old enough. Those things kind of can come across and be multi-purpose as well. The second ebook that I've sent you is the mini ebook. It's just a very small ebook compared to the other one that's quite big. Where it's 7 simple and quick lunch ideas for you. I created this after we did a big mini series. We did a series on school lunches inside the No Fuss membership. Excuse me. And I felt like afterwards, I feel like there's so much talk about how we can help our kids to eat this or that, but we forget about ourselves. And as you've heard, I'm all about the mum. So this is a resource for you to make sure that you don't, because I don't know about you, but lunchtime for me is the meal that I would fall down on the easiest. Like breakfast is so easy. Dinner, you kind of, most people would typically put a little bit of time into making an okay dinner. But lunch is where I don't want to go back into the kitchen. I've already been in there for breakfast. I'm going back in there for dinner. I don't want to be back in there for lunch. I'm busy. I'm running from here, there, and everywhere. So I just want an easy option to quick and go. And sometimes it's the one that we can fall down on, and it can kind of smash our day nutritionally, and therefore also kind of makes us sluggish in the afternoon. When we pick up the kids, we're feeling blurred and we don't want to feel like making a dinner. So it kind of has this flow-on effect. So this book gives you some simple ideas for lunches for you. All right, guys, I'm going to go. I hope if you're catching the replay, I hope it's been helpful. And don't forget that the doors close for the No Fuss Nourish Method membership tomorrow night at midnight. It's $30 a month or $1 a day. which is crazy value, and you're actually grandfathered in at that pricing. So even if, which the price will go up at some point in the future, maybe in the next intake or the one after, but you will keep that price forever if you get in before midnight tomorrow. There's also an annual option that's been introduced where you get 12 months for 10. So guys, now's a great time. Anyway, have a great night. I hope my answers to your questions have helped, and we will speak to you soon. Bye.